Before we start, let's make sure that the needle is in the down position when the machine comes to a stop. To make that happen, tap the foot control. Going to use the hand wheel to raise the needle to its highest position. Insert the paper so that the start dot is more or less underneath the foot. To find the dot, you need to lower the foot close to the paper so that the paper can still be adjusted. It seems as if the needle and the dot are perfectly aligned, but there is a problem. With the needle in the highest position as it is, it means that the stitch is halfway made. When the needle is lowered closer to the fabric or paper in this case, the machine is still moving ahead. Those feed dogs below are still feeding, and the dot has now moved away. In order for accuracy, the paper and needle need to be quite close together. That way you can pierce the dot exactly. By pressing the reverse button once at a time, we will move backwards one stitch at a time. I can see the red dot, which gives me the opportunity to decide what to do next. I want to raise the needle, and I'm going to use the foot control to do that by tapping it, which will give me half a stitch backward. When I turn the wheel now, it will move to the position of the next needle fall, which again gives me the opportunity to adjust, piercing the red dot exactly. That little bump you heard was the machine changing direction. If I start sewing now, the machine will go forward again. Remember, this is precision sewing. We want to try not to overshoot the red dot, and it seems I haven't. The correct way for your hands to be while sewing is the left hand just keeps everything flat. Your right hand would be the hand that corrects the direction. While you are sewing, your eyes are focused not on the needle, but in this area where you want the black line to be aligned with the red line. Next, we aim for dot C. When we get to more or less where dot C is, we stop and using the hand wheel, advance forward one step at a time until we can see the dot at D, at which time we'll be able to decide as the needle approaches closer what to do about this. Our needle is slightly short of the dot, so lift slightly and align the dot and the needle exactly. Insert the needle, and now you can pivot by lifting the foot and start sewing towards dot E. At E, we stop again, using the hand wheel, advance towards dot at F. You can't decide what to do until you actually see the dot. Come close with the needle so that the paper doesn't move when you advance. Adjust backwards slightly, pierce the dot exactly with the needle, and again pivot around. continue in this way until you get to the end. Stop and carry on using the hand wheel again up to the point where you see Y, and use the reverse button again, one stitch at a time until you see your paper exercise is done. These turns were all done correctly at 90 degrees. You will see that the shorter or longer stitches at the turn don't really matter as much as the incorrect turn, which is very much more noticeable. You can print as many of these paper stitching exercises as you want. Continue practicing until you feel you have the hang of it. You can also draw some lines and some dots, start dots, return dots, and pivot point dots as this one, and practice until you feel confident about knowing where the needle will hit the dots and staying on the line until you feel comfortable, and then you can move on to stitching with thread.